course, in the Indian context, again, Professor Spector, is that we are seeing the first cases of Delta Plus in India, over 50 cases detected. Now, there are some scientists here, Professor Spector, who are suggesting that Delta Plus has a greater affinity to stick to lung cells, could cause more damage in the long run. Would it be premature at this stage to call Delta Plus more infections, and could it trigger, as some fear, a third wave?
I think it's always a bit premature to until we've got much more data on this. And I think we can expect all these new variants to be better than the previous ones at sticking to us, sticking in our lungs, and you can transmit it with smaller amounts of virus. That seems clear. I think it's much harder to work out whether it's really more likely to be lethal or severe, because, as I said, in general, most the viruses, as they evolve, they get milder because the virus doesn't want to kill you either. It wants to just stay for a few days and then pass to someone else. That's what viruses do best. And so hopefully it might stick in your mucus more, but it's not likely to kill you. So let's see what happens. But I think it's important we realize that, you know, this pandemic is changing, and we need to change our country's plans and lists of symptoms and how to recognize it as fast as the virus is changing. And I think that's really important.
I think you're making an important observation, which perhaps we'll take note of in the days ahead, that the virus in its new form will perhaps have milder symptoms, is what you seem to be suggesting. I also saw a recent tweet of yours, Professor Spector, which is interesting in the context of children, because you said that COVID is endemic and most susceptible people are now protected. It makes no sense to keep sending masses of children home and mess up their education when one case occurs and the risk is tiny. Now, this comes at a time, Professor, when many suggest a future wave could infect children. They will be susceptible. Do you want to clarify, are children susceptible or not?
Yeah, I think most children who get COVID are asymptomatic, and they don't get any symptoms. They're less likely to get any long-term problems. So for them, it's like a very mild cold if they get it at all. And so the only real risk of it running riot in children is really that they will infect their teachers or their older relatives who might be susceptible. But if you've vaccinated, say, potentially sick teachers, or you have, the parents and grandparents who have been vaccinated or are separated, then I think, in my view, carrying on education, it should be a priority, because in many countries like the UK, children in the last year and a half have lost a lot of time, and particularly from deprived households. So economically, long term, that's going to have a much bigger effect. And also, I think we have to, at some point, realize we're not going to get zero COVID. We're going to have years of having these low levels of infection. So we need to change our laws and our rules to make our society still function, so we can economically get back to where we were, so we can get our hospitals open again for all those other diseases that people aren't coming forward. Many more people are dying of cancer, heart disease, because they're worried about going to hospitals or getting out of their homes. So I think we have to start this discussion about the broader aspects. And I think children's a good example now, where we should be much more relaxed about children as long as other people are protected.